Hey there, bear cats and dragons. Welcome back to writing. Last time we had a writing lesson, we started the process of writing our very own folktale or fable. We talked about the moral or the lesson of the story and added that into our graphic organizer. Today, we're going to do the next two boxes only of our graphic organizer. We're going to keep that moral in our minds while we're thinking about what characters we want to have. And so we're going to come up with our characters today that are going to learn that lesson and the setting. So we're going to decide who's in the story and where the story takes place. The first thing I want you to do is to think of one of your characters. You might want to pause the video and really take a moment to think about what character you want, or you might have it in your mind already. I'm going to give you a little bit of think time now to think of what should my first character be? Who should my main character be? Stop and think. Okay, if you need a little more time, that's fantastic. You can always pause and come up with that. I included here reminders of the tortoise and the hare and the boy who cried wolf. So we can think about, see here we have two characters, and in the boy who cried wolf, we had a boy and we had the townspeople. So the second character wasn't one person, it was a group of people, but it kind of worked like the second character that helped the boy learn the lesson. All right, so we've thought of our one character. Now we're going to think of two character traits that that character might have. So I'm going to go into my graphic organizer. I'm going to type in on my text box who my first character is. In my story, my first character is just going to be named Grumpy Bear. I know, funny, right? If you want to call your character by an animal name, you could do that. If your character is a person, you can give them a name. In The Boy Who Cried Wolf, they just called him a boy. They didn't say, this boy's name is John. Nope, they just said he's a boy. So it's up to you if you want to give your character a name or if you just want to call them a boy or a tortoise or a bear. That's up to you. So now that I've thought of my character, I need to think of two character traits. I will include this in your work so that you can have it to think about what are the character traits or the way that your character behaves. What are some things that would make sense for you? So here we have all those examples, and this is one we've used before. So is your first character going to be a friendly, fun, funny person? Maybe your first character is going to be bossy or mean or nosy. Maybe he's going to be selfish. I don't know. It depends on what you want your character to be like. So I've thought about my character, and I'm going to go in and I'm going to type in two character traits for Grumpy Bear. The first character trait, I am obviously going to have to put grumpy. It's in his name. He's grumpy. I'm going to put a comma because I am listing things. So I'm going to put grumpy, and I'm going to say he is impatient. He is impatient, which means he does not have a lot of patience. When things take too long, it makes him feel frustrated. He's impatient, doesn't have patience. Now, I just listed them this way. If you'd like to put them in a complete sentence, you may, but it's okay to just list your character traits here because this whole graphic organizer is just to help us organize our thoughts. All right, so the first thing I did was I thought of my character. Then I thought of two character traits that that character has. You can pause our video here if you'd like and stop and do number one. Think of your character and think of two character traits. Go to your worksheet that is inside of this site and type in the character and the character traits. Okay, I'm glad to see you guys are back now. So now that you've thought of your character and you've typed in the name and you've come up with two character traits and you type those in, we can move to number two. Number two says the exact same thing that number one says. I want all of our folktales and fables to have at least two characters. We're going to have two main characters, just like the hare and the tortoise, and just like the boy who cried wolf had the boy and then the group of townspeople. So we're going to do the same thing over again. Think of your second character and think of some character traits that they have. You might want to make your two characters different. So you don't want to have two grumpy bears, and maybe you do, and you're going to have them both learn a lesson. But I noticed that in The Hare and the tortoise was kind and he worked really hard, and the hare was kind of mean and he was a little lazy and he took a nap in the race. So there were two very different characters, and that was a great way to tell this story. So you can decide, it's up to you. But now it's time to think of your second character and two character traits they have. So I'm going to go in, just like you're about to do, into my graphic organizer. I'm going to erase where it says type here so I have the space to write what I want to write. My second character is going to be named Hummingbird. I'm really excited about Hummingbird. But then, So now I have see this squiggly line here? If I right click on it, it's showing me that that should not have had a space there. I made a mistake and I was able to click it, and that helps me fix it. So if you ever see those red squiggly lines, if you click on the right side instead of the left side, it might give you an example of how to fix your spelling. Okay, so now I've done the first part. I thought of my character. And now I'm going to think of some character traits. I'm going to go back to my character traits examples and see if any of these words help me. I might choose a character trait that's not even on this list. That's okay. This is just here to help you come up with some, because I know sometimes it's a little tricky trying to come up with all these ideas all by yourself. So I wanted to give you guys as many resources as I could to help you. So I'm thinking about Hummingbird, and I think Hummingbird is going to be nice or kind. And I'm also going to say that Hummingbird is very helpful. She's going to help Bear. So I'm going to click on now I've gone back to my graphic organizer. I clicked it. I'm going to get rid of where it says type here so that I have nice and lots of space to type. I'm going to type kind. I'm going to put a comma. And then I'm going to type helpful. There are my two character traits. First, I thought of the name of the character, then I came up with the character traits. You can pause now if you haven't done your second character and type that in before we move on to the setting. Okay, so I did number 1, check. I did number 2, check. Now I can go to number 3. Decide where your story takes place. So I'm going to think about the setting. I've included this as well to help you think about different settings that might make sense for your character. Maybe they're in a house, they're in a city, maybe they're on a farm or a desert. Maybe it's the middle of the night, maybe they're in the ocean or at a playground. It's up to you. You don't have to choose one of these settings. These, again, like the character traits, are just here to help you come up with some ideas. Now I've thought of my setting where my story takes place. So now that I have it in my head, I'm going to go back to my organizer. I'm going to go to my settings box, and I'm going to get rid of my type here. My setting is going to be in the forest, because I have a bear and a hummingbird. So I would like their story to take place in the forest, kind of like the tortoise and the hare. Okay, Bearcats and Dragons. That's all we're going to do today. We just typed in these two boxes. We thought of our first character and what they're like. We thought of our second character and what they're like. And then we thought of a setting for our story to take place. Next week, we're going to get a chance to work on our problem and our solution and what happens in the beginning, middle, and end of the story. We're off to a really great start to make amazing folktales and fables. Bye, Bearcats and Dragons. See you next week.